Now, onto the growing rift between President Biden and Benjamin Netanyahu. The Israeli prime minister is defending his decision not to send a high-level delegation to Washington. That followed the U.S. abstaining from a vote on the UN Security Council for a resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza.
My decision not to send the delegation to Washington in the wake of that resolution was a message to Hamas. It was a message, first and foremost, to Hamas. Don't bet on this pressure. It's not going to work.
A U.S. official now telling NewsNation that Israel may send the delegation next week. The Biden administration is trying to convince Israel not to invade the southern Gaza city of Rafah. Meanwhile, a new Gallup poll shows a majority of Americans now disagree with the Israeli action in Gaza. And I want to hold on this poll for a second. What's significant about this to me is that 10-point swing over that period of time. I thought it would have been worse. Almost. I almost thought it would have been worse. 55% disapproval. 45%. That's up from 40. You want to be lower in this number,
right?
Okay. So we're going to start with you, Amisha, this time, which is the president is in an extraordinarily difficult position here, right? His base, the same kind of voters who half a generation ago pushed Joe Lieberman out of the Democratic Party, right? Those voters are mad at Joe Biden over this. They are fuming at Joe Biden over this. But on the other hand, there are a bunch of other voters, right? Jewish American voters, moderate voters, persuadable voters. So 45% is not nothing. So this is a very difficult position for the president, right?
You're absolutely right. And I think that that poll may have been skewed to a certain extent. I believe that it's slightly higher than that, particularly because younger people are typically left out of these types of polls in large number. And a lot of the drive against President Biden right now is taken on by young people. We're seeing it across college campuses. We're seeing it with Gen Z. We're seeing it all over TikTok. The other, caveat to that is that obviously people who have a Palestinian connection. I'm from Chicago. Cook County has the largest Palestinian population in the country. That speaks to the people who live there watching their people die en masse. And I would also argue that Muslim Americans are obviously going to have their feelings about this. However, President Biden is not taking this issue in a snapshot. Obviously, it's an election year, which makes this extremely difficult, but he can't turn his back on Israel. I don't think any president of the United States can. The way that he measures and handles this is going to have long-term implications. I don't think Netanyahu cares about the American election, first and foremost.
I think he does.
But he absolutely has shown that he is not going to slow down his assault on Palestinian people. This is beyond what happened a few months ago. This is beyond what the attacks that happened on those people. I think that's frustrating.
Where are the Democrats having their convention this year?
Chicago.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't wait.
Yeah, and just as Amisha says, there's a large Palestinian American population in Chicago. Are we headed for real trouble for the Democrats in Chicago?
I expect there to be some protests, assuming that this conflict is still going on. There hasn't been some resolution by then. I think that Netanyahu got on the phone with Biden and said he was canceling this meeting. Biden said, "You're not canceling this meeting." He goes, "I'm rescheduling the meeting." I'm pretty sure that's how it went down.
Rescheduling. Okay.
Thank you for watching. And make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.